You want to cut over right now and head back to Capitol Hill, the Capitol Rotunda. And you will see right there is Sully H.W. Bush. He is President George H.W. Bush's service dog, the companion that has been with President Bush since the passing of Barbara Bush. Someone who's a companion who's been very important to President Bush in his final days. And this was a moment that a lot of folks were waiting for, to see if Sully would come to see the president. We do remember that the president's spokesman had tweeted out a photograph of Sully laying before the president's casket just days ago with the caption, "Mission complete." Phil Mattingly is joining me right now, watching this as well. Not only is that one adorable dog, but this just speaks to, a creature who was so important to the president in his final days.
Yeah, it really captured the imagination of the whole country when Jim McGrath, President George H.W. Bush's spokesman, tweeted out the picture of Sully laying next to the casket of President George H.W. Bush. And frankly, for those who have been involved with veterans organizations or worked with veterans when they've come home, you've seen examples of this in the past, where the service dogs have such close relationships with the individuals that they serve. And you noted, Sully joined President George H.W. Bush in June after the passing of President Bush's wife, stayed with him throughout. It was told that he could do essentially a 2-page list of commands. Jim McGrath, the spokesman, once said the only thing he couldn't do was essentially make a martini, and even that maybe was up for debate. And I think when he traveled, we've all seen kind of a constant stream of pictures of him over the course of the last 72 hours. Traveled to Washington with the casket on Air Force One, or Special Mission 41 at the time, and everybody's really been waiting. What's been most interesting is you look at the luminaries and the VIPs and the former cabinet officials, current lawmakers, vice presidents, everything like that. The people that I've been talking to waiting in line, ordinary people waiting in line to pay their respects, I'd say 1 out of every 3 or 4 of them, when I've talked to them, have said, "Do you know when Sully's coming?" That's how much he's kind of resonated with the people, and I think just underscores kind of this moment for the country, that they've all kind of looked to latch on to what President Bush represented, the people around him and what they represent, the kind of man he was. And if there's in any way or shape or form that an animal could represent that, it seems like, at least in the eyes of the people that have been showing up to pay their respects, Sully definitely did that, Kate.
And you see Tom Ridge is actually right there with Sully. Phil, of course everyone can say there are so many people in George W. Bush's life that were in his life so much longer than this sweet little creature. But this is such a sweet moment. And also highlights, I think maybe, and George H.W. Bush would want it, highlights the importance, as you said, of these service dogs and what they do and what they can do for veterans and for so many. And the sweet nature of this moment, I think, is really precious that the Bush family planned this, that Sully was able to come over and join in this moment to pay tribute to the president.
Yeah, look, there's no question about it. And I think it also kind of goes with the theme of the day, which is obviously yesterday you saw the memorial service here in the Capitol. You saw President Trump and the First Lady come over and pay their respects. What today was about is about the man himself as well. You have people who benefited from the Americans with Disabilities Act who have been coming up over as well. I believe the group is supposed to come in.
Yeah,
That's exactly right. Yeah,
they might be right. Some of them might be right there with Sully, right
yes,
there.
Yeah, I believe they were coming in around the same time. You have military leaders from Desert Storm. You have people involved in the Points of Light organization, which meant so much to President Bush. You have people involved with his charitable foundation as well. So you have this kind of whole scope and breadth of what President Bush, not just the man from the Oval Office or the man who led the CIA or was an ambassador to the UN, but really the entire scope of his life kind of coming to the forefront. Obviously, last night there was the memorial service. Tomorrow, everybody will be paying attention to the National Cathedral. But today, when you combine those groups coming in, plus, again, the ordinary people who, Kate, I rolled in this morning around 4:35 a.m., talked to the Capitol Police. They said there had been people coming in throughout the night, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., to pay their respects. The Capitol Rotunda is open constantly until 7 a.m. tomorrow, when his body is moved over to the National Cathedral. Just kind of underscores what he achieved in his career, and frankly how people think of him at this moment.
And to highlight one of those achievements, as we've been discussing, Phil noted that members representing the Americans with Disabilities Act, they were there to honor the president. President Bush signed that landmark legislation into law in July of 1990. And I do know that friends of the president have said that he has told them he considers the signing of the ADA as one of his greatest accomplishments. And I think many folks would agree and are very thankful for that.